England squad has been announced for the 2023 Rugby World Cup, folks. Steve Borthwick's picked his 33 guys. This is on the back of the news with the All Black squad yesterday and likewise the Samoan one the day before. So, we'll go through the squad pretty quickly. Who's in and who's out. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how these guys might go at the Rugby World Cup, plus their fixtures list. Dan, George and Walker are the three hookers in the squad. Theo, Dan, just getting that one cap the other day. He is certainly one of the kind of bolters into this English squad, but with Cow and Dickey missing the squad injured, there was certainly going to be a spot available. I'm not sure how much faith Borthwick has in Jack Walker, because they used him in the Six Nations campaign very sparingly. He must have got a handful of minutes in multiple games, and then Jamie George is kind of your veteran, so pretty steady pick. Props, like the All Blacks, they've gone with 6 in Cole, Genge, Marler, Rod, Sinckler, and Stuart. It is a bit of a mix of youth experience, the experience of Cole and the returning Joe Marler. There's no spot for Mako Vunipola. I don't think he managed to overcome his back injury that was kind of keeping him in doubt. Bevan Rod, I feel like, has got a lot to come in terms of his career. He's only 22. He looks like he's 32, but he's only 22, so he's still got a lot of development to do. And then Ellis, Genge, certainly one of the more dangerous guys. Cole Sinckler knows how to proper scrum. So, the front row will probably be experienced, I would imagine. The locks, Chessum, Itoje, Martin, and Ribbans. They've gone with the 4 locks. Plus, I guess you've got Courtney Laws in there as well, who's named as a loose forward, but can certainly cover in the second row if needs be. You got to feel like tackling and turnover machine, defensive powerhouse. Maro Itoje is going to be one of the first names on the team sheet, and then it's kind of who accompanies him in that second row. Dave Ribbans' stocks seem to be rising in recent times. They've likewise, with the All Blacks, only gone with 5. I guess 6 Lucies, because they got Laws as a Lucy as well. So it's Laws, Curry, Earl, Ludlam, Willis, and Vunipola. So no, it is actually 6. And then some of their locks can play, like George Martin. He can play loose forward. Maro has played loose forward in the past. So there is a bit of versatility in the squad. Laws with that extra height, if they do play him in the back row, is certainly a great option. And like Itoje, geez, he's defensively just very powerful. Tom Curry, tackling machine. I think his brother has had an injury with his hamstring that's kept him kind of out for a wee while. I'm pretty pleased for Ben Earl. He always seems to be Mr. In and out of the squad. But he's really lively. And then Lewis Ludlam, in that loss to Wales, I thought was actually one of the better England players. Like another guy who was just a high work rate player. Jack Willis was one of the top tacklers in the Rugby Championship in the Six Nations. That's the way they play. And then Billy V gets the nod ahead of Alex Dombrant, which is maybe a little bit of a left field one, seeing as Dombrant seems to be one of the favoured guys up until this point. Now he can't even make the 33. So that is certainly a big old omission. I think Dombrant had more busted tackles than any other England forward in the Six Nations just gone, but it wasn't particularly a high number. Like, none of the England forwards really set the world on fire offensively in that Six Nations a wee while back. So, it's a big mix of youth and experience. Like I mentioned, the average age across the forwards is like 27 and a half. So you've got some young guns in Theo, Dan, Bevan, Rod, George Martin, all in their very early 20s, and you got a 36-year-old Dan Cole and a 33-year-old Joe Marler. So, it's a real mix. Into the backs, speaking of a mix, you got Kerr, Van Poortvliet, and Youngs as your 3 nines. Probably among the older combos with a 36-year-old Danny Kerr and a 33-year-old Ben Youngs, but certainly a heap of experience there. I'm not quite sure who is going to get the nod. It potentially depends on how he decides to play 10, because he's got Owen Farrell, who is captain, kind of unsurprisingly, George Ford and Marcus Smith. George Ford seemed to be kind of on the outer, but he kept kind of coming back in. I couldn't keep up with all the squads that Steve Borthwick kept naming, all these training squads throughout the last few months. I did see George Ford's name was there, so, good for him to get back into the side. The dude's certainly a talent. Depends on how they want to play. And then midfielders, Lawrence, Marchant, Tuilagi, and then they've kind of named Elliot, Daly as a back 3 player. So 3 guys named in the midfield: Lawrence, Marchant, and Tuilagi. I guess with Farrell as potentially the other guy. I mean, even if he is named as a 10, there's a decent likelihood that he could also play 12. I'm loving the selection of Ollie Lawrence. I mean, the dude's a proper unit. They were playing him at 12 earlier in the year. He adapted to that really well. Tuilagi, he's injury prone, that guy, so there's always a bit of a question mark around him, but when he's on fire, he is certainly a devastating ball carrier. And then Marchant, Mr. Versatile, has also looked, pretty sharp in some otherwise pretty average England performances. So, yeah, back three. Daly, like I mentioned, is named as a back three player. He's Mr. Versatile too, isn't he? Malins, Watson, Arundell, and Steward. Steward is certainly a lock for that fullback position. Big ball carrier, great under the high ball. They seem to like Malins out on the wing, even if he's not kind of an out-and-out pace man. He is really elusive. And then I like Arundell's just like absolute gas, and he's 20 years old. He's the youngest of the bunch. But you've got versatility. You got Watson, who could be fullback. He can beat defenders like the best of them. So yeah, it's a squad. I mean, Caden Burley, I feel like, is pretty unlucky because on what limited amount of the Premiership I watched this season just gone, he seemed absolutely deadly. Singer was in the squad the other day. Hasn't made the 33. I think Hassel Collins was in one of the squads at one point, but he's kind of fallen out of favour. The veteran Johnny May, his stocks again seem to have kind of dipped. Alex Mitchell, as well as one of your nines, seems to have fallen out of favour. Other forwards, Johnny Hill, he's not there. Tom Willis, Zach Mercer, I thought might have been a chance, but no. So it's kind of like, yeah, Billy V is I guess a lock on for the number 8 jersey based on what we've seen, but of the squad. But interesting. The backs are average same age as the forwards, so 27 and a half. So it's by no means the oldest or the youngest squad that we've seen. Actually, it might be the youngest squad that we've seen so far. I think it might be slightly younger than the All Blacks. But as I said, there's kind of a few outliers with Danny Kerr and Dan Cole in there as well. Fixtures up until now and then, they've got Wales at home as a reverse fixture from the one we saw at the weekend just gone. Ireland away, and then Fiji at home as your 3 remaining warm-up games. And then World Cup straight into the deep end, man. You got Argentina first up, who not too long ago beat Eddie Jones's Australia in Australia. You might be saying that's not worth that much, seeing as the Aussies haven't been on a good run, but then the Aussies pushed the All Blacks a couple of days ago as well. Then Japan, who have not been in great form. Then Chile and Samoa to round things out. So if anything, you kind of got the hard games first in England's pool. So if they can win them, although Samoa will certainly give them a run as well, but if they can win them, they might be set up, able to kind of mix the squad up a little bit heading into the knockout stages, assuming they make it that far. But yeah, England Rugby Store is the place to get your England Rugby gear. If you want to get yourself some England jerseys or other paraphernalia, check out the link down in the description, man. England Rugby Store, heaps of England Rugby gear, unsurprisingly, from a store named England Rugby Store, but they're an affiliate of the channel. So if you want to get some, use that link down below. That'll help me out. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the squad. Biggest surprise for me was probably Don Brandt not making it, but I'm sure... Oh, I forgot to mention Henry Slade. Henry Slade didn't make it either. Yeah, I thought he was also maybe a lock-in as well. Pretty versatile. Big old boot, but no, not needed. Just the 3 kind of players listed as midfielders in Lawrence, Marchant, and Tuilagi. So, yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.